Hey everyone, and welcome to this video, which is going to be an overview on how to use D2L or Brightspace. If you've never used it before, we're going to be covering how to log in, how to access your courses, load in content, and some other various tasks that you can do within there, just to get you started if you're planning on using this with your students in your class. So the first thing we'll need to do is cover how to log into Brightspace or D2L. And before I do that, I'll just want to mention D2L is actually the company that provides the product of Brightspace. So it's kind of like an Apple iPad. You know, we wouldn't walk around and say, oh, I'm using Apple. We say I'm using an iPad, which is actually what I'm using to record this video on. But that's when we talk about D2L and Brightspace, it's kind of like they're synonymous, the way that we use them, but it's Brightspace is actually the product and D2L is the company that offers it. So now that that's out of the way, we'll show you how to log into Brightspace, which is provided by D2L. So start on the main publicboard.ca screen and scroll all the way down to the quick link section. There's an orange icon titled Online and Blended Learning Resource Site. If you click on that, it's going to prompt you to log in with your Office 365 credentials. Now everyone knows my password. Please don't steal my life, I guess. And we sign in there and it brings us right into our homepage. Now, there are a couple other ways that you can sign in through Brightspace. One nice thing is if you cancel out of that, you can actually go right back to that main page, go down to the Online Blended Learning Resource Site. As long as you're logged into Office 365 somewhere else and you click on that icon, it's going to bring you right back in. Another option for logging in is to just go to this address at the top, gecdsb.elearningontario.ca, and that will prompt you to log in using your Office 365 credentials. The third way is to log into Office 365, and then you can actually pin it to your app launcher. So I'll just show you that quickly. If we log into Office 365, and when we load up, in the top left-hand corner, you've got your apps. So you can find this under all apps and scroll down. And when you find D2L, click on the three dots. And what will end up happening is you'll end up seeing something like pin to app launcher, or you can just open it right from there. And when you do, it'll bring you right into this same homepage. Okay, so just a quick overview of what you should expect to see inside here. This main bar up at the top with the waffle icon and everything up there, that's called the mini bar. The bar below it is called the nav bar or the navigation bar. And then below that is the widget section. So we're going to be covering all of those different parts today in this video. Very briefly, mind you, and then I'll take it a little bit more into detail in further videos. So what I'm actually going to do is switch over to a different teacher account that doesn't have all of my privileges, just so that you get an actual feel for what you should expect when you log in. All right, and now you can see that I am logged in here as Tony Stark. So I am the teacher, Tony Stark. And so first thing we'll cover very quickly is just the mini bar. The reason why is because up in the top, this little waffle, that's going to show all the different courses that you have accessible to you in D2L. So that's going to show last year's courses, this year's courses, everything. And you'll notice that these little pinned icons here, if I unpin this or pin it, it's just going to show down here in my courses, which I'll end up showing you in a second. Okay, but the mini bar should always be accessible. The nav bar may not always be accessible. But when you're looking at that, this is going to be your My Courses. This right here is your email, so you can go into the internal email inside of Brightspace, which I'll be covering later. You can look at, this would be for some notifications, and then some settings over here. And then you can always go in and change your profile or your account settings. And then there's this My Portfolio option that is pretty useful, again, which we'll be covering in a later video. Okay, so that's the mini bar. Not a ton of things in there. If you get an email, this will turn red, and this is your courses. Now the next part, the nav bar, these are different places where you can access different things. So they're quick access navigation icons. So for example, if I open up digital tools, you're going to see all these different things open up that students or teachers can access. So if they need to go to, Learn 360 to find some videos, they can do that. If you want to go to the OERB as a teacher, you can do that. Okay, these K-8 activities, students can open these up. So let's say grade 2, and it opens up all these different types of interactive Flash activities, which should work for the next little bit. So there is French resources inside here as well. This is just the K-8 activities. The next icon here is for learning online. So it's an online tutorial where you can go through some of the different tools that are offered in Brightspace. And the questions are all about preparing for online learning. So how do you learn online, managing your time, setting goals, etc. There's TVO resources if you want to log into Mathify as a math student, or Empower as a primary or junior student. This next part, the master courses, is actually a very important part to learn. And it's just so as a secondary teacher, you can go in and see which courses are actually available to you as an educator. So I'm going to show you that right now, just so that we can preview these things. So if I select master courses, it's going to open up this different screen, which will show you all the different courses that are available. Now, we're going to get to this later, but the first thing I want you to do is go to accessing and copying master courses, because this is going to give you instructions as to how you can get these courses if you want to use them with your students. You don't have to use them, but you can. Select this instructions, and it'll give you this PDF that you can download, and it will give you the step-by-step instructions for how to copy a master course into a course that you want to use it in. Okay? So what we're going to do here is we can kind of shift through all these different areas. So you've got business, computer science, Canadian and world studies, English, guidance, math, science, social science, and humanities. Other is just, there's not enough to warrant its own section, and some professional learning ones that we are working on for NTIP. But basically, these are courses that the Ministry of Education has created over the past years as a way of providing online learning to students. And you'll see the year that these courses were created in brackets next to it. Some of them have been created very recently. For example, Canadian World Studies, because the curriculum changed. However, if you look back at the math courses, some of them are still from 2007. So the style of these courses is going to be very different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to register into 3 of these different courses and then view them as Tony Stark, so that you can get the experience of what the different style of courses may be depending on the year they were developed. So the first one I'll look at is I guess we'll go into MCR3U, and I'm going to select that, click register, and then register. Yep, that's all good. Submit, finish, and then done. Now what I've essentially just done is I've registered myself into a master course, which now I can see that course right here, MCR3U, and it says Teacher Master. So I'm going to do that for 2 others very quickly, and then we're going to go on to how to use Brightspace more effectively. So we'll open that back up. We'll go into business and computer science, and we're going to look for one of the, I'm trying to think of which one might be best to go into. We're going to go into Canadian World Studies, and we'll do CGF3M. This is going to be our kind of second style of course. And I think I actually have to close out of here and here first. So let's go there, select register. Yep, we'll register it, submit, finish, done. And now we should be in that course as well. Yes, we are, CGF3M. And then finally, close that. We'll go to master courses again. And this time I'm going to go for a much older course. So I'm going to go to a business course, let's say BAF3M, because I know that's an outdated course. So click register, submit, finish, done. And so now Tony Stark, our teacher, is actually in these 3 courses. Now he doesn't own those courses. Those are the master courses that he can go in and view what the courses would look like. And then from there, if he wants to use them, he can copy them over into this course down here, which is called eLearn-10 GOMS. And that's the one that we're going to be using as our test course. Now let's say I don't like CGF 3M anymore. I don't want to use it. There's this little pin icon right there that I can just tap and it's gone, right? No more there. It is actually there. Remember up here with this little 3x3, you can see I just unpinned it. If I want that back, I just tap the pin again and it should show up, right? There we go. Okay, so that's how you can access the secondary resources. Now the elementary resources are actually down here inside the inside the preview site's elementary on the side. And so if I select elementary preview site, then you get into this. This is the ministry's site right now. So you can select based on which type of area you want to look at. So junior, you can see, all right, let's say grade 5 language, and it will open up the their version of Brightspace. You can look into the different activities and see, okay, is this something that I want to end up using in my course? And at that point, you'd have to email me and let me know if it's something that you would end up wanting to use, and I can load it in for you. There's not really an easy way of loading that in on your own yet. Okay. I'm just going to switch back again to my account just so you can see some other things, because there should be something showing up in this My Courses in Other Orgs widget on the left-hand side. So just give me a brief second. So now you can see here, I have a lot more courses over there in the My Courses widget on the left side, but on the right-hand side, you can see there's these supports for virtual learning, e-communities available for self-registration, and VLE 101, these top 3. So if you are interested, you can select right here. These are all things that are provided by the Ministry of Education, and every teacher should have access within here. So you can look at these different webinar recordings, and you can see you can select those if you'd like. There's a lot of them, so you can register for those if you'd like. This e-communities available for self-registration. If you open that up again, e-communities is going to be it's a provincial professional learning community in using D2L for the province. So you can see getting to know Ontario's VLE. So the VLE is the virtual learning environment, which is the same thing as Brightspace or D2L, or Brightspace instructors instructional videos. So if I want here, I can go getting to know the VLE, register. This should look very familiar because we've just kind of done this. You'll have to put in an email address and click submit, and then you'll be registered in that course. And then every time you go into e-communities, you'll be able to see inside here these different courses. So as you can see, I've already registered for them. If I select VLE 101, I'm right inside here. I can go into the content and I can start learning about Ontario's VLE. So on the left-hand side, you've got the different units or folders. I can click about the course. There's a video from someone talking about kind of giving context for this, and then you can go right into the actual content. So you can start looking and scrolling and learning about the VLE. So I know that's a lot of information already, but it's just these are different things that you can use to support you. So you've got that VLE icon right there that you're already enrolled in. So that My Courses and Other Orgs widget is very useful if you're looking for that support. One nice thing you can do is tap on this little arrow and collapse the widget, and they all go away. So if you don't want to use them, if you think they're cluttering up your space, you can always do that. Next thing you can do is link your Office 365 account, because that's going to be useful if you want to upload files from OneDrive. So you just select that, and you end up having to go through this process of... there we go. So because we're already logged in, it's now linked to my account. You may have to put in your email address and password a couple of times in order to get it to link, but now you've got your email, you've got your calendar, and you've got your OneDrive connected. Okay, so that is basically the D2L homepage in a nutshell. A lot of stuff going on here, but this is kind of like where you would walk into the school, and then it's like, okay, well now I'm in the hallways, I can see the bulletin boards, but I want to get into my classroom. So that's where these My Courses would kind of come into play. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into that eLearn-10-GOMS, because that's the course that we're going to start playing around in. So I'm just going to switch over to my my Tony Stark account, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're back here. So let's head on into one of these courses. So we're going to go into this eLearn 10 GOMS course. And what you notice here, it says course started but inactive. And what that essentially means is that this course is ready to go, but the students can't see it yet. And the reason for that is if we go in here and you want to make changes to something inside your course homepage before you have students come in and see it, you want to be able to make those before they're in. So the students are already in. So if I select the class list, we're going to see all the different students in this course. Don't worry, that's not actually real students. We've got some of the other Avengers inside here, and they're all students, as you can see, with their role. But I don't want those students to see what I'm trying to create inside this virtual learning environment before I'm ready for them to see it. So if I'm ready for them to see it, then I can go in and easily make that adjustment. And the way that you do that is you can notice there's this course admin button in the nav bar. And if we select that, then a lot of things come up. This is basically the tools that we can use to administer our course. You can see things like different site resources and learner managements for groups and sections and assessment things. But there's this thing at the top called course offering information. And if you select course offering information and you scroll down, you can change the name of the course. So let's say I want to go in and say, well, I don't want this to be called eLearn anymore. I want it to be called distance learning. Okay, so we can change that and then keep scrolling down. There's this little checkbox here that says active course is active. And I want to select that because when I do and click save, I'm going to go back to my home screen for a second here. Now what we see is that course no longer shows that it's inactive. It's actually active now. So that's how you activate your course. And that just essentially means that students will now be able to go in and see this course. Okay, so that's the first step you kind of have to do if you want students in, is to go in and activate that course. Now, then we can go in and if I go back into the course now, well, look, the nav bar is a little bit different, right? You've got course home, content discussions, class list, assignments, quizzes, and course admin. So those do different things. There's a little drop down arrow too that reveals some more icons actually. And that is, we'll cover some of those in this video and some of them in a later video. So the first thing is, if wherever you are in this, I'm just going to move to announcements for right now. You'll notice the nav bar kind of stays with us. Course home brings us right back to this course welcome page. Now, this is distance learning. I don't like the flowers so much. If I want to change and personalize this slightly, there's this 3 little dots that I can change my image, and I can search for an image or I can upload an image. Now, I'm a math guy, so I'm going to select this, even though this is physics, I think. So that's now going to actually be, if I go back here, that's going to change the image on this icon as well. So click here again to get back in. If I don't want that text, distance learning and all that stuff, I can go customize the banner text and change it to just distance learning GOMS, save it, and it updates that right there. Okay, so this is kind of this is called the banner, useful for kind of just saying, welcome. Some interesting things you can also do is if I do that custom banner text and I change this a little bit out or a little bit more to welcome, and I put these little squiggly bracket things and type in first name and comma. Let's say, save that. Then it's going to show my first name. So welcome Tony, because I'm Tony Stark. So for every student, it's going to know that first name is going to call up their actual first name. So just little things like that you can use if you want. So now down here in the widget sections, remember we had the mini bar, the nav bar, and then the widget section. Now, there are some widgets inside here that we'll want to learn how to use. The first one is announcements, and this is going to be somewhere where you can, it's pretty straightforward. You just select create an announcement. You can give it a headline. So let's call it day 1 post. Sorry, I'm not used to typing on my iPad. And we'll call it welcome. Select that. And now down here in the content section, this is a rich text editor. So we can add in text however we want. Hello and welcome to this class. Sure, we'll throw an emoji in there and change that. Okay, so we can do that. We can then also add in stuff through the top 3 buttons here. So the first button on the left here is insert stuff, and you can insert files. So if I want to go from my computer, I can choose a file that I have. I don't think I have any files on here, but you could attach a file that way. Also from insert stuff, you can, a great thing here is you can use this thing called add video note. And if you add video note, I guess we'll do that right now. So you can select choose file and then take a video. And what it's actually going to do is record a video of you talking to your class. So this can actually be done for up to 30 minutes, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to stop that, use the video, select next, and I'm going to give it a title and a description. So Mr. Gomes video. I'm going to say my welcome video. Okay, we're going to say this is English and select next and then insert it. And so what's going to end up doing is it's going to convert this into a video that's going to be posted inside there. And yeah, so I mean, you can insert other things inside here like images or computer files. You can insert links or quick links to stuff that already exists in the course. And you can modify whatever you want. But once you've done that, you can either publish it right away or you can have it as a start date. So if I don't want this to publish right now, I can publish this at a different time or a different day. If I want this to publish on Monday morning, I can select that day and then it will publish, or that announcement will only be seen by students at that time. But I'm going to select now just so that we can see that. I'm going to click publish. And then what we should see if we go back to the course home is that this video note inside of our announcement is in there and ready to be seen by students. If I press play, a video of you talking to your class. So this can actually be done for up to 30 minutes, which is kind of cool. All right, so that is super embarrassing hearing yourself talk. So I didn't realize I was that monotonous, but I'm going to point it out anyways. So anyways, that's our announcements widget. You can have, I think it shows up to 10 of those. But that's how you can communicate one way. So students do not get to comment back on that. If you are looking for that, kind of like a feed, well, on the right-hand side, we have this thing called activity feed. So if we create a post, we can create a message, similar thing, welcome to the class. And you can either allow comments or not allow comments, attach files at the bottom. If I want to attach a file, notice I can attach from any of these locations. I can do a file upload, or I can do Google Drive or OneDrive files if I've attached my Office 365 account. Same thing, I can post later at a different time or a day, or I can post now. And then this has comments available. So if a student wants, they can click inside here and write a comment in there. Okay, so that is basically the announcements and activity feed. Now down here, you can also create a calendar, which would have assignment due dates, discussion due dates, content when it opens, things like that. This updates icon will show if students have submitted work or submitted discussion posts that you haven't read. Content browser will show once you have content in the course. And then course overview is just going to show when students have actually logged into the course. So how many students visited today. If you look at class engagement, you'll end up seeing the class list with their current grade, when they've last visited, and their activity in the course. And then you can email class right from there too. So again, I know this is a lot of stuff right now, and this is just on the home page. There is a lot of customization available to this if you don't want the activity feed, or if you only want the activity feed instead of announcements. That's possible to do, and I'll cover that in a future video. Okay, so we're going to jump into the content and discussions and class list piece. I guess the first part that we'll do very quickly is the class list, because this is the easiest way to email your students if you're looking to email them inside Brightspace. So you click on class list and you scroll down and you see your actual class list here. If I want to email Scott Lang, I'm just going to click on his name, and it's going to open up a spot where it's going to I guess, email Scott directly. But notice this isn't going to their public board account. It's going to gecdsb.mail.elearningontario.ca. This is the internal email system for Brightspace in our board. So, this just know that you can't just email this account and expect him to get it. This is only internally working inside D2L. Do an email. Again, you've got this rich text editor. You can insert stuff, insert images, and click send, and he should end up getting that email now. Okay, that's more along the lines of what you'd want to use the class list for. You can also click on a drop down and see some other pieces. The most important one would be view progress. So if you had content in here, it would show all the different content that they visited, discussions, assignments, and things, but we don't have anything in the course right now, so it's not worrisome that there's nothing in there. Okay, so when we look at this now, we've got the class list, we've got the course home. Let's head into content. So in here, you're going to notice there's nothing here. So there's no content inside here, and that's a problem for us because we either want to start loading in our own content or we want to load in content from one of those master courses. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to load in content from a master course. It's actually pretty easy. Once you're in the course you want it to be in, you tap on this gear icon in the top right-hand corner, and you're going to select Import, Export, Copy Components. And now we're going to go to search for offering under course to copy. And I'm going to search for, I don't remember which ones they were. So I'm just going to search teacher master because that's what I named them. And so there's all three of those teacher master courses. Good. So I'm going to load in the oldest style first, go add selected. And I'm just going to go copy all components. And that's going to copy in the entire course for everything. So you can just go unit by unit if you want. That's cool. But I just copy everything in, and then you can hide it later if you want. Okay, we're going to copy another package inside here. Search for offering. Do the same thing. So we're going to search for teacher master. This time I'll do the CGF3M because I think that's going to be the second style of course. Copy all components. And then the third one, insert this. Import, export, copy components, search for offering, and we'll go MCR3U because I know that's the most updated course. All right, so anyways, these are copying in. You notice the BAF3M has already been copied in. So let's head over to content and see what this thing looks like. Now this is going to be overwhelming, and I get that because now we've got three courses worth of courses. But you can see here we've got this is all from the BAF3M, and then what will end up happening is as those courses get loaded in, there's going to be more Unit 1s and Unit 2s and Unit 3s. So if I go into Unit 1 here and click on the Unit 1 overview, the Unit 1 activity 1, then this should open up. Okay, and this is the older style of course. You end up seeing this overview, learning goals, content, and assignment. So overview, learning goals or expectations. So you can see the learning goals, expectations. You can select the content. This is the actual lesson part of it. And then there's an assignment usually at the end. Okay, so it could be telling them to go to a discussion or submit something. They'll show a rubric, things like that. Now, this is a very small window where you can view this. So I usually select this right here, this icon above it, which makes it into full screen. And then it makes it a lot easier for kind of looking at the content itself. So you can kind of get the feel for one of those older style of courses. We'll go into Unit 6 just because there's probably a little bit more. So what you'll probably notice here, there's a bunch of these little things that say like an eyeball that's kind of crossed through. It means it's hidden. And the reason for that is that those 3 pages are actually those pages on learning goals, content, and assignment. So students would access from activity 1, they can't see anything else. So they only see activity 1, then activity 2, and they can kind of scroll through each of those. You don't want to change these or delete these files here. But one neat thing is if you want students to be able to see something or not see something is you just go to that activity. So activity 1 here, if I just toggle this on or off, this button up here, means it's either hidden or visible. So if it's hidden, students can't see it no matter what. If it's visible, they can see it. So I find it's overwhelming for students if they were to see everything here. So I might take the course information and just hide it because they don't need to see that. Student information and just hide it. Unit 1, let's say we've already done that because we did that in the first month before we were online, hide it. So now students, when they come in here, should only see the rest of the units, okay? So that's, again, just loading in the content and getting into Unit 1, Unit 2, making things visible, however you want, okay? We'll move on to just discussions quick too now, because now that we've loaded in the course, there are discussions that are already created inside here for us. So these may or may not be, yeah, okay, so we end up seeing a discussion here. So you've got discussion activity inside here. So if we open this up, you end up seeing just this thread box, select start a new thread. Then the students would do the same thing here too. So you can give it a title. So this is my title here. This is my discussion post, right? Post it, and then you end up getting this. So if a student were to come in and see that someone else had already written something in there, then they could respond to it just by tapping on where it's already there. You can see the post and select reply to thread, and this is my reply post. Right, so you can end up seeing there's the initial one, there's the reply. Okay, so discussions are there. They're loaded in from the course. And what you'll notice is we actually have all of our units coming in here. So the first course up to Unit 7 was the business course. The second course here is the CGF 3M, and the third course is somewhere way down here for the math, so working with trig ratio. So there's discussions inside of all of these courses from the ministry, which is good. We'll go to assignments. Assignments is the exact same type of format where you end up seeing Unit 1, and those are our assignments. The assignments are shown up, or they'll show up inside the content sections. So anyways, if you're a student, and so just a quick thing here, if you want to view this as a student, you just tap on your name in the top right-hand corner and click View as Student, just to get their experience here. And their experience, they would end up seeing that, notice the announcement and the activity feed. We can go into assignments here, and you can see all the different areas where I have an assignment to do. I need to submit something. So let's say we want to go into here, activity 3. We just have to add a file from somewhere. So I'm just going to add in a photo. Hopefully I have one. All right, I'll add in a photo of my kid because he's adorable. Click add. Got a file in here. Here's my file, and submit. Great. So then that was sent nicely. I'm going to unimpersonate just because now I can view this as a teacher. You'll see I've got some notifications up at the top there. And down here, if I scroll, notice I've got one new email. And if it was a real student, then this real student would have shown one ungraded assignment. And then now we've also got some stuff in the content browser because the content was loaded in from those different courses. So that's pretty neat there. We can get to that. It's the same thing as going to content right here. So I know I showed you the first style of course up to there, where it was the overview, expectations, content, and assignment. The second style would be something like this. So we open up Unit 2 and Activity 1. And it's going to tell us to go to this activity. So it's actually going to open it in a full page browser tab. The introduction comes up for us. Then you've got learning skills and work habits, learning goals, success criteria. And then now we're into the actual lesson. So these lessons were designed a little bit better. They've got some more embedded video, embedded interactives, and you can kind of scroll through it a little bit nicer. You've got the toggles at the top with minds on, action, and consolidations. They're all done as 3-part lessons. And anything inside a colored box here. So you notice this colored box, it's got a little icon there. That's the icon for an assignment. So when you scroll down here, you can see there's this option for a student to submit their work. So when they finish that, they select submit their work, and it brings them to the assignment folder, which is tied right to the assignment folders that are already inside the assignment section. So that's pretty nice. So all that kind of back-end work is done for you. I want to see if I can find a different one, like a discussion. Maybe there's not a discussion in the first activity. So we'd have to do that for a different one. So let's say activity 2, go to this activity, opens it up in that new browser. We'll have to kind of wait for all those things to toggle through. There's our intro, there's our learning skills, there's our learning goals, success criteria. And then we can scroll on here. That's an assignment. Oh, this is actually an interact, or asking them to do something in a Padlet. Video, here's a reflection, assignment. No discussion here either. Okay, well, the discussions work in the same way. You select the join the discussion button, and it would bring you into the class discussion. Okay, so that's the second form of course. The third form of course is going to be, just wait for this thing to show up here. Let's go find our third form of course. So I'm going to go to content here. And we're going to scroll down all the way to those math courses. So we'll go building algebraic skills, simplifying rational expressions, and then select the content. And what we can see here is this is kind of like a merging between the two types of courses. You've got the Minds on Action consolidation section, but you can still view it within browser here. So I'm going to open this up to the full screen version, and then I can kind of scroll through the lesson. I can tap on the Minds on, the action, and the consolidation in order to bring me to those different sections. And then when I'm done, you got those submit your work buttons, things like that, where students can do what they need to. And you can see that there's a lot more embedded content inside these new courses. So that's the different content styles. There's the overview, expectations, content, and assignment. That was pre-2016. The style of the Minds on Action consolidation that opens up in a new tab. That's from 2016 to 2019. And then there's about 12 courses that are in the 2019-2020 range that have this new style inside them. Okay. So you can always create your own content and load up your own files, no problem. Same thing with discussions and assignments. If you don't like what the ministry has, or if there's no ministry course that's available to you, you can always use this as a learning management system and load up your own stuff. So there's also quizzes here. So I'm not sure if there's quizzes in any of these 3 courses. Yep, there are. So you can create your own quizzes if you want. You can preview those. And let's check and see a couple of those answers. You can see the experience of a quiz. So we've got all these different questions. I don't know what these things are. So whatever it is. There's different ways of setting these up. I'm just going to exit it. They all self-mark, and you can get those to your students, provide them feedback, they can see the right answers or not. Depending on how you want to use the quiz tool, you can use it. You don't have to use it. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do inside here. So I think one of the last things I want to show you inside here is called Virtual Classroom. So in the nav bar, if you drop down, there's this thing called Virtual Classroom. And Virtual Classroom allows you to have a virtual web meeting with your class. It works much better on a browser. So I'm using an iPad right now. I'm not actually sure if this is going to work. When I select Launch Bongo, Okay, we're gonna go, yep, continue. Okay, cool. Select next. And I knew it was gonna happen. Okay, so it just means I won't be able to connect the audio, but here I can create a meeting. So I just select on the plus and I give it a title of, let's say, sample meeting. We'll say our meeting date is right here, right now. And I'll select now, maximum duration. I can record the meeting. I can allow external participants, or I can just allow it for my class right now. When I select save, then this meeting is ready to go. So if students came in here, so I'll view this as a student right now, and they went to virtual classroom, which they see right there, then they get the same type of thing and they see that meeting that's just been created. So they would just click on the three dots and they would have join meeting as an option. And so we're gonna do the same thing. So as a teacher now, we're gonna go in and show you that you can have a meeting inside here. So we'll drop down on that 3. We're gonna select launch from the icons. You can see here, it gives us some information. Select enter meeting room. And this is where if you're leading this, you would want to be using an actual web browser. I'm going to make a video on that later using my computer. You can do this. You can join this with an app, the Bongo app, but right now I don't have that on this iPad. So anyways, but you can use a virtual meeting room, virtual space there, no problem. If you do record your meetings, those recorded meetings show up down there at the bottom. And yeah, I know this has been a super long video. I know I'm probably missed a bunch of things. So I'm just going to cover one or two more things just to make everyone else's minds go more exploding. So I'm going to open up a different course. So I'm going to go to this My E-Learning course, Stark, just because it's a little bit different. So this is a course that I've already been kind of using as a training e-learning teachers course. And inside here, we're going to go in and we're going to create our own content. So notice here, there's no course inside here that's called So You Want to Be a Superhero. So, but what we can do is we can select our new unit and call it new unit 3. And I'm going to save that. Now I've got a unit here. Notice it's defaulted as hidden so that students can't see it before I'm done working on it. I can just, I can click and drag, or I should be able to click and drag to move these things up and around. So I can hide it or I can make it visible just by toggling that on or off. And then once I have unit 3 here, so I have my unit, I can select add, and I can just start adding in a bunch of different types of files. So if I have my files in OneDrive, I can add them right from OneDrive. Right? Just by selecting here, it'll ask me to log into OneDrive. But if I'm already connected with OneDrive, then it will just have all my files there for me. Remember, I'm using my Tony Stark account, so he's not a real person with a OneDrive account, so I can't use that. But you can also load up your just drag and drop files down there. So if you have files on your computer that you want to load in there for, say, Unit 1, you can drag them right in there and they'll just show up. Okay, another option there is if you really want to be organized, and inside of this new unit 3, you can select new lesson and call it just lesson 1. And if you have multiple files you want to add inside lesson 1, now that if we select lesson 1 and then add, now you can add all of those files right in there for lesson 1 instead of just putting them all in the same unit folder. So it's like nested folders here. So I know some people will have multiple files in you might have a link to a video, you might have a PDF file, an assignment you want them to do, and you can throw those all in the same lesson. Okay, but that's generally how you would access or how you create your own lessons and load in your own content inside there, just with that add tool right inside here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my course home again, and I'm just going to show you very briefly Actually, we're going to go into discussions first. And so inside here, you can create your own discussions that haven't been loaded in from a course. So you can select new. Now you can do a forum or a topic. So first of all, the forum in this case and the topics in this case would be, so the forum here is called So You Want to Be a Superhero. And that's just going to start it's going to be a collection of all the different discussion topics that I want underneath there. So let's say these 3. Okay, so I can create a forum, let's say call it Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. Then I can create new topics and I can choose whichever forum I want that to go into. So if I've created a Unit 1 forum already, then I can select Unit 1 and give this a new title. So we'll call this one New Discussion. And let's say, here's what I want you to discuss. All right. And then you can allow students to post anonymously if you want. You can change some of these, save and close. And now you'll end up seeing that underneath Unit 1, we should end up seeing new discussions down there at the bottom. Okay, so that's how you can create a discussion if you want to have a discussion inside there that students can go in and use. Same type of thing, similar in assignments. When you go into assignments, you can create an assignment category, which would be a unit. So I would say Unit 1, Unit 2 again. So a new assignment here, I can go give it assignment 5, let's say. There's a few different, you can give instructions here. And if you want to attach files, so let's say you had an assignment file or like a fill in the blanks type style that you wanted them to use, or maybe it's a reading passage, you can go inside there, upload that file, students can access it and do that. Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but you can create group assignments if you want to have groups, not just individuals. You can change from a file submission to just a text submission. So that just means that instead of uploading a file, they can just type in their response and so on. And give it a score, say it's out of 10. You can add a rubric inside there if you want. If you don't have a rubric already, then you can create a rubric. So and then there's a rubric creation tool. I'm just going to click leave it on. And you can create your own rubric right inside there and attach it right to this assignment. And then we'll select save and close. You know, then you can see all these different assignments in this sample course. But basically, for now, that's where I'm going to stop it. I am going to have a lot more in-depth videos coming out, and they'll be a lot smaller and chunked up because there's just so many different things you can do in here. I hope I haven't overwhelmed you yet. But basically, the idea here is if you're going to be using Brightspace, you want to be able to create your own content or load in your content and know what your content's going to be like. You want to be able to create your own discussions or join a discussion and create assignments. You want to be able to contact your students through the class list and activate your course at the beginning. So I think we've covered a lot of that stuff, and actually quite a bit of detail. I apologize for this being so long. I know there's a lot less I could have said on certain things and probably a lot more I could have said on other things. So please be ruthless with your feedback. Let me know if there's anything that you feel like I need to explain a little bit more or a little bit less. And yeah, I hope to get some more content out to you soon to support you. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in when I have some more content available for you.